And bloop, we are live. So what's interesting about this is it's passing through my video from my Pixel, but it gives me no interface, no camera interface or anything like that. So technically I could continue using my phone, and it would still be using the camera through the USB.
Yeah, because it's just passed through.
Okay. Yeah, it's just passed through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks good though.
But you can zoom in, by the way. Like if you pull down the notification on your phone itself, on the Pixel phone, pull down the status bar. There should be a notification that says like Android webcam service. It'll open like a preview, and then you can like pinch to zoom in from there.
It's very rudimentary, right?
Yeah. You can also change lens, I think, but if you change like the 5x, it'll be way too zoomed in.
More options? No. Oh, I see. Preview. Oh, okay.
There it is.
There we go. That's what I wanted. I wanted just a
Cool.
little bit of a zoom. Oh yeah, that looks.
There's a lot of zoom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great. That way I don't. Oh, but it does have a little bit of a flicker. A little bit of a flicker.
Yeah, when it's zoomed in like that, it's not as crisp. Yeah.
Well, it is a 2x zoom. I guess I could just go bloopity bloop and hold it up there. It wasn't flickering when I bloopity blooped, so that's good. Yeah. At least I don't think so. Well, I'll monitor it. Whatever. It's a work in progress, as everything is. Life is a work in progress. Today was one of those days. So I was telling Mishaal, I woke up at 4:30 today because yesterday I just ran out of time. I was like, we had to move AI inside one day early because Jeff had a thing. And I couldn't get it all done yesterday. So I had to wake up early just to make sure that I could get it all done. So I've been like nonstop today. And it was just one of those days where it's like, oh, now I got to do that thing. And that thing takes 10 minutes. Yeah. Now I got to do that thing. And that thing takes 10 minutes. It's like every little thing takes 10 to 15 minutes. And it just adds up so fast. Oh. Yeah. Okay, I've complained now. I'm done complaining.
Good job.
I just want others to feel my pain.
Your pain.
To feel the pain the same that I feel it. Okay. Oh, I do need to. Oh, no, I can't. My Pixel's in use.
All right.
Never mind.
I don't know how to reboot the Showbot. So my hope is that
isn't it like a command that you have to type in?
Yeah, it's a command, but I don't remember what it is. I should find out from Willie or from all the other ones so we could do it. But yeah, so hopefully it will get reset at some point. I don't know if anybody is watching from the DTNS world. Oh man.
Okay, I'm just opening links and then I'll
see if I can chat somebody.
Good to go. Links of the 50 or 60 some odd links we have in today's show. We have so much. It's like every segment has like 5 or 6 stories in it. Or like every single story has 5 or 6 attached stories. It's chunky. How you doing, Clinton? Good to see ya. How you doing, cousin of Ja?
I just asked in the mods channel, so we'll see.
Hello, fellow monopolists. That's cousin of Ja.
Living the dream. Hello, Stealth Dave.
I'm hoping the audio sounds better, everybody, as opposed to last week. Mysterious.
Oh, geez, that's right. Glitch. I forgot. And yeah, last week was kind of a nightmare. Yeah. That was lame too, because like there was little I could do unless I wanted to spend all night correcting like frame by, you know what I mean, shot by shot.
Which
they were all out of whack with each other, and there was obviously something going on at Streamyard.
So weird,
right?
To make that funky, because that wasn't us. That was
Oh, yikes, Clinton. I hope all's okay. If you need to skip the show, you can break your streak. That's okay.
No! But of course we understand.
Yeah.
I mean, you did show up for the beginning, so you're already considered here.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
he said in 2 weeks.
Oh,
he's the only one.
Yeah.
Even among us, he's the only one with actual perfect attendance.
Right. Exactly,
None of us have been on every single episode.
And what's so funny, Clinton, if only we could. Oh, you're gonna bring the tablet to the hospital? Cool. If only we could have coordinated, because we're going to talk about it in the show, but we're not going to be live. We won't do a live stream next week again because we're going to be at Google. If you could have planned your surgery that next week instead of in 2 weeks, then you wouldn't have missed it, so.
Yeah. In the future, anytime anyone listening needs to plan a surgery or an event or something, check with us first. Because, there might be there's probably not going to be any flexibility. But the stars might align.
I know it wasn't up to you. I know. I know how that works.
The stars might align. Let's see here. Just going through my links real quick. Make sure they're all good.
Yeah, see, I always plan surgeries around the AF schedules. The reality is that I probably would do the same. I'm like, well, I can't get surgery on Tuesday because I got to do the show. So, oh man, I gotta tell you, after my knee surgery, well, 2 winters ago, I don't know when that was. Yeah, it must have been two Decembers ago. And then 3 months before that, I had my colonoscopy. I gotta tell you, man, them drugs that they knock you out for that stuff are just real nice. Like, I'm looking for surgeries. I'm like, oh man, like, I just want another nap like that nap. It was, it was great. I was so mad when they woke me up for my knee surgery. I was like, just give me another hour, please. So
I want to go back.
I know, please.
Hey, Mishaal, is it possible to center your camera, or how what I mean? It was like leaning to the side, and I can't adjust that in StreamYard, but yeah, that looks good. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, yeah. Joey, good to have you here.
Hooray.
All right. Well, that's another thing. I wish that I were like I obviously do usually do the video switching for the show, so I have to be logged into our account. But another part of me wishes I was logged into my own account, because then I'd reshare it. Because we've been doing that. We've been doing that on AI Inside, and holy moly, does it help.
Mishaal, do you want to reshare it to your Twitter account?
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. Yeah, it takes some setup. It takes some setup, but it's worth doing. It's worth the setup, and then it's easy once it's set up. I mean, we went from like 30 to 40 live to all the way up to like today it was 650. It was just. I wonder if.
Yeah, we have to look into that, because I wonder if we could set that up in StreamYard for our, the other accounts.
Well, you can, like, Ron, if you were to join the StreamYard from your own account. Right. From your own Google account and not the official StreamYard account.
No, I know, but we can add destinations in StreamYard.
Oh yes. Actually, yes. Right? Although they might cap the number.
Oh, they might.
It's like show off and reset.
Hey, thank you, Willie.
Nightbot. Thank you, Willie.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's a good question. I guess the trick there is it would be this one central place which would be logged into all of our socials, and that might be a little weird.
Well, that's how we should. I mean, this is something we should try to figure out before the show. And,
no.
and I think it's doable. I think it's
Yeah. Anyways, worth considering. Okay, it's getting muggy in here.
A limit of 6 guest destinations total. That's guests.
Guests.
Okay, yeah. So I guess the question is what account has. Basic account is 3 destinations. Professional, premium, and growth account is 8 destinations. Business is 10 destinations.
Oh, okay. So it's not really that many extra, I bet.
Yeah, but I mean we're on 2, so we can add a third. If we're on the basic level, there's still a third destination we could add and stream to. So if you wanted to go to the Techsploder YouTube or your Twitter or whatever,
totally,
we could do that, and then Mishaal and Win can log in through another. They don't have to log into their personal accounts. They can log into, if we want to do the AF account or their personal account or another. I mean, there are ways to do this.
Well, they probably just use their Google account, right? They're not
Yeah.
logging into the AF account. I don't think.
No,
Or are
right?
they?
No, but I'm saying, but
Yeah.
for linking to
Yeah.
if you wanted to go to Twitter,
Then they
if you
can
wanted to go
link.
somewhere else, yeah,
totally.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody, you have been brought into our thinking process, our meeting. Welcome to our staff meeting. Okay.
Fun times.
Okay. Well, we've got everything set up.
All right,
I
Showbot has been reset. Thank you, Willie.
thank
You're
you,
the
Willie.
best.
Appreciate
We
that.
love you. So everybody go to af.showbot.tv to do your titles during the show. We appreciate it.
You're the best around.
If everybody can check their surgery schedules to make sure that they're clear for the rest of the night.
That's all we ask.
So,
That's literally all we ask. Okay.
all right, shall we?
All right,
shall we
yes,
do it? We have
let's
a
do
packed
this.
show, everybody. So buckle up, buckle in.
Buckle your
What's the right-
safety
Be a long
belts.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long night of Android.
Okay. So I'm going to strike Mishaal from the stage. You have been strucken. I'm going to
Oh, I'm doing the intro. Okay.
stop my camera. I have been strucken.
I'm getting sick, so this. should
Oh
be-
no,
Yeah,
that's the
my
worst.
my son has a cold, and I think I'm getting it. I
And
got
you
it.
know it. You can feel that like tickle or whatever. Oh,
Yep, it's all right.
that sucks.
Say la
I
vie.
hate that.
It's life.
I hate that. Well, buckle your safety belt too. Ron.
Buckle up.
Prepare for a ride.
All right, let's
Okay,
do it.
everybody. Stand by. Here we go.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Android Faithful. We're your weekly source of the latest news, hardware, apps, antitrust lawsuits, whatever else you got in the world of Android. I'm Ron Richards.
Another day, another antitrust lawsuit. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Mishaal Rahman.
We've had a nice respite from legal battles. I feel like the Google Epic one, which
Yeah.
also was, and then the Google antitrust around the App Store, right, was all related. That was our last one. I thought we
Yeah.
were clear for a little while, but no, we're going to be talking about Google's antitrust when it comes to search and what it means for us. But in the meantime, hello, gentlemen. Welcome.
Hi. Good to
Glad to be
see
back.
you.
How's your
Good to
week
see
been?
you not glitching.
Yes. So apologies again to everybody who watched the video show last week. There were
Yeah, it was
some
bad.
issues with our infrastructure that we had no control over. Audio listeners, though, bonus, you had no problem.
Yeah,
So
you didn't
if
even know anything happened.
If you downloaded your podcast in Pocket Cast, like the good Android fellow you are, or fella, or what's the female of fellow? Fellow,
Just say fells.
lady.
I don't know. I have no
Ladies. You did not hear any issues, and so we appreciate that. So
Yeah.
we got a pack show this week. But before we get started, quick programming note for everybody. I know you love the programming notes. There will be no live stream next week. FYI. Because
Ron? Do you hate us? Why are you
No.
doing this to us?
we love you so much, because Mishaal, Jason, Wynn, myself will all be in Mountain View attending. Jason, what are we attending?
A thing? We are allowed to say it, right?
We're allowed to say it.
MBG.
Okay, MBG as we like to call it
MBG,
now.
yo. MBG, yo.
Yo,
That's
we're
what we're
going
doing.
to MBG.
We're going to be at Google for the Made by Google event the morning of August 13th. And then we're going to be recording the show somehow, somewhere, still to be determined. But because of that, we won't have a we won't have a live stream next Tuesday night. Jason, we still need to figure out how we're going to do the show and whether there's no embargo. So if we can get the video done, we can always release it as a premiere at the normal time or whatever it might be. There's a bunch of
if we
chess
can
pieces
get it
on the
done.
board we'll figure out. But it should be an exciting week because I have no idea what Google's going to announce at this event. Nothing has been leaked.
Oh no. This has been kept a
Going in
close
totally blind.
secret.
I know,
Always
exactly.
Yeah.
I just
Google
hope
has
that
definitely not released like promotional materials by now publicly. They definitely have not.
I hope they announce the new Chromecast there. That's all I'm hoping for. Fingers crossed. That's a
Oh boy,
that's a
Ron.
tease for later in the show. All right. Well, that said, so we got a lot of news. So Jason, you got the lead story. Take it away, sir.
All right, and we won't spend much time on this because we're kind of talking in leading up to today's show. We're like, the Google monopoly, on search thing is big.
It's huge.
But how much? Yeah, it's huge. No question about it. And it's probably going to impact Google search on all mobile devices in some way, shape, or form at some time. But that is a ways away. Basically, what has happened right now is that Google was ruled by a U.S. judge to have violated antitrust law in search. This relates specifically to paying companies like Apple, like Mozilla, to feature its search product and services on their platforms. And the U.S. government just basically says these actions effectively block competitors like Bing, like DuckDuckGo, from competing. And you can debate whether you agree with that or not, but that's the ruling. And the outcome of this is probably even still going to take years to figure out. Like we're right in the similar situation that Microsoft was in its whole antitrust mess some 25, 30 years ago, whenever that was.
Had huge ripples through the tech world for decades, that Microsoft antitrust lawsuit, and like the gist of this whole decision by the government is that basically there's one thing to be dominant and there's one thing to be dominant and push people out to maintain your dominance. And that's what Google is guilty of. And so, I mean, the way I look at this, and just so to make it clear to everybody, all we got was the ruling that that they came down saying that they are finding them, that they are, a monopolistic behavior, and existing as an antitrust. And now the next step is the government is going to come back with recommendations for what Google can do. And this is where I think the big ramifications could happen because we don't know. It could just be that, they can't pay, they have to stop paying Apple or getting premium position or whatever. They could break the company up. It could go as far as the antitrust that happened to the phone company decades and decades before you were born, Mishaal, when there was the phone company and the government broke them up into what they called the baby bells, and you had Pac Bell and you had 9X here in New England and all this in New York and New England, right? Like they could break out Android as its own company and search as its own company, and anything that could be the furthest it goes, and anything in between could happen. So like we just
or
don't
it could
know
just
what the
be
ramifications
a
could
forced choice screen.
Yeah.
Well,
or an ads.
Well, the thing is, they can't
an
force
adless browser or an adless search engine or if you work in search, by the way, if you work in search advertising, you are really excited because I bet you the marketplace for this opens wide open the next 5 years.
Well, they can't force a search screen, like a choice screen on Apple, because this decision was against Google, not Apple.
Right. Yeah.
But one interesting thing about this is that, if Google is forced to stop paying competitors, to feature search, what's going to happen to Mozilla? Like almost
Mozilla's.
I think a crazy amount, like 80+%. Yeah. Like they're pretty dependent on that payment from Google as a company to survive. What would happen to them if they no longer receive that paycheck from Google?
Well, I wonder in that case they're allowed to, you know what I mean? Like I guess the practice of overpaying to maintain search dominance is the problem. But if Mozilla's like, yeah, we're cool, you know what I mean? Like that's what I understand.
Well, I mean, clearly Apple's cool with it too.
Yeah, Apple's cool with it too. Like that's not gonna probably happen. Like the government is saying,
we're gonna have
you can be cool with it, whatever, but we still don't think it's right.
Yeah. I read one article that summarized whereas Google led with the carrot in search, whereas Microsoft led with a stick with operating systems. Right. And so this is why it's a little more amorphous, because what Google was doing was using money to maintain their dominance versus scare tactics.
Well, I mean, what's going to happen is going to be interesting in terms of how Apple responds and whether or not Google really needed to pay this much every year to Apple to actually maintain. Like, will Apple, choose some other provider?
Will Apple make their own search engine?
Will Apple make their own search engine? Will they invest the billions of dollars that it requires and also
They don't have
losing
enough
out
money.
on the $20 billion. It's going to look, it's going to be a huge investment to go that route. It's not going to make them any money for a while.
Yeah.
So
Apple's too poor to do that. They don't have.
They could, yeah. Or will they just try to like make a bidding system? They could just voluntarily make a bidding system like what Google does in the EU and make Microsoft and Apple compete against each other.
I mean, keep in mind, if you look at Apple's most recent earnings, their services division earned almost as much as the hardware division, right?
Yeah,
and so, like, if their services division is on the rise and this is just another injection into that division, maybe, like if they've got the
flip-flopping.
revenue coming in. I mean, it's certainly not coming from Apple TV Plus. I know that. Because nobody's watching that platform. I made that joke on DTNS last week, but yeah. But
either case, this decision, I think, in terms of what it means for Android users, it just means Android and Pixel in particular are just more and more important to Google.
Yeah.
Because having control over your own platform and ecosystem, it just becomes more and more important. The only reason like Google was paying Apple so much is because they have such a huge platform, a huge user base. Well, if Google builds up and if they are able to eat away at Apple's user base, then they wouldn't have to pay Apple so much to even feature Google Search as a default. They could just rely on their own user base.
Or if the government mandates that they have to break up and the Chrome business becomes its own business and it has to interact with the Google search business as independent entities, and now Chrome can take offers from DuckDuckGo or from whomever, and they don't have that default linkage to the Google search. The possibilities are endless. We'll see what the government comes back with the recommendation and what Google does. But Jason, to your point, it's going to take years to actually have ramifications, but it could. This is a decision that will have ripples over the next 10 years. So
Turns out we did have a lot to say about this story.
Yeah. It's huge.
See, once we open the door, it happens.
Yep.
We can't stop talking about it. All right, Mishaal, let's take a turn into the world of Android 15.
So we're on the last beta of Android 15, Android 15 beta 4.1 technically, and even so, there's still a lot of things under the hood that Google's working on, a lot of things to document. And one of the latest things I wrote about is that the edge-to-edge behavior change in Android 15, where the operating system is basically forcing apps to draw edge-to-edge, in other words, to draw content underneath the status bar and underneath the navigation bar. Well, there's actually a way for apps to opt out. And what's interesting is that this opt-out mechanism isn't even documented, like in the developer write-ups that Google's put out in their blog posts, in their code labs, or anything like that. It's just this lone API that some Google apps are quietly using, by the way, to opt out of edge-to-edge mode. And there's not really a problem with providing an opt-out because, Google tends to do this. When they make some big behavior change in Android, they provide like a way for developers to temporarily opt out so that, they have more time to update their apps and be ready for this change to go into effect. Well, the thing is, edge-to-edge mode has been around for years now. It was always opt-in, though. But now Google is making it opt-out in Android 15, but they don't even tell anyone that there's a way to opt-out. So, it's kind of this weird situation where there's a lot of developers who don't want to do the work to make their apps support edge-to-edge mode because, it requires extra development work. When you stretch your app to the navigation bar and the status bar, you might have some visual overlap with your buttons so that you have to account for that. And that requires some extra development work. So some developers are like, we don't want to do this right now. Give us some time. So Google's provided this way to opt out, but they didn't really tell anyone it exists. So it remains to be seen whether or not anyone actually uses this opt-out mechanism. And by the way, because they're providing this opt-out mechanism and because of the way Android releases work, even though you have this enforcement happening in Android 15, we probably won't even see a lot of apps opt in to edge mode until 2 years from now. They have basically 2 years to opt out thanks to this API that they added in Android 15 to opt out.
All right. There's always a loophole.
Yeah, there's always a loophole. I mean, it's not no one's doing anything malicious. It's not any bad intentions. It's just the way things are with, running a huge app store and ecosystem with tens of thousands of developers with different, needs and requirements and schedules and things like that. It's just unfortunate the way it is.
And it's frustrating. As somebody who is part of an organization that maintains an app and stuff like that, you get these, you must do this by this date or your app will stop working or this sort of stuff. And there's so many kind of gotchas and not loopholes. What's the opposite of loopholes? Hoops to jump through, right? To make sure you maintain it. And you hate to see something like this that is meant to move things forward hurt developers in the short term, right? Or like block the, because if they don't have the resources to do it, or they fundamentally don't want to do it, or whatever it might be. So you're right, Mishaal. It's hard. The size of the Google Play Store. I mean, geez, how many apps are there in the Play Store now? It's like so many. So I don't envy them trying to navigate a change like this.
And on a more positive note, another feature or change that I spotted in Android 15 is a new layout for heads-up notifications. So for those of you who don't know, whenever you're like in a full-screen app and you receive a message from a friend or a family member, sometimes you might see these notifications that pop up on screen and take up like a huge chunk of your screen. Well, Google has recognized that this is quite annoying for a lot of users, so they're working on a new layout that makes them significantly smaller. So if you scroll down, Jason, on the article, I have some photos showing this new. That's actually the old layout right now. So what you're seeing right now, video viewers, is how heads-up notifications look right now. They take up a huge chunk of the screen, which is annoying when you're watching videos or playing games. And this new layout that you're seeing on screen for video viewers is significantly smaller. It's basically a tiny strip that just has the app icon, the title of the notification, and a snippet from the message body.
A very small
and
snippet,
it takes up
I have to say.
Much less space.
Yeah.
Like
And-
3 words.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the case of the message, I mean, you see Mishaal Rahman, who it's from, and then just a very, very short block.
And there's an arrow to expand it, I assume, right?
Yeah,
Does
you
it
can
get
tap on
bigger
the
if you
arrow to expand it.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
and that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice.
Cool.
All right.
And
At
if
least
you've
there's
used a
that.
Samsung phone, a Xiaomi phone, or some other phone, from an OEM, they've had a similar feature for years now. This is just new for stock Android. So Pixel users, this is specifically going to be really new for you guys.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just
another
want to
change-
I just want to have no notifications when I'm watching video. Like it should be like you're watching video, suppress
Turn on Do Not
notifications.
Disturb mode.
Right? Yeah, no, but do not disturb mode doesn't work. I don't know if I'm the only person in the world. I put do not disturb mode on, and I still get notifications, and it drives me bananas. So I've given up on it. So, anyway,
Yeah, it can be confusing in the setup.
Yeah.
I've certainly dealt with that, and I don't know that I have it 100% right, but I would agree.
I don't think I have, but I haven't taken the time to fix it because who has the time? Anyway, Mishaal, what else you got?
And the last change that I wanted to highlight is so the taskbar, if you use a tablet or a book style foldable, you know that when you unfold the device, you have this taskbar at the bottom that lets you, has like a dock of your apps that you can quickly launch. You can quickly press and hold and drag and launch split screen mode. Well, that taskbar might be coming to phones. Google's working on a way to optimize this taskbar layout. Video viewers right now, if you're looking, this is what the taskbar looks like on foldables. So this is publicly available. If you have like a Pixel Fold and you unfold it, you can have that taskbar right now. But if you have a Pixel phone, like the Pixel 8, for example, you don't have a taskbar. You just have a navigation pill. But Google's working on a new tiny taskbar feature that basically just brings that same taskbar to phones. You can swipe up from the bottom and you have this little pill with your taskbar. You can long press on it to pin it to the bottom. You can drag icons and enter split screen mode. All the same things you can do on your tablet and your foldable, you'll be able to do on your phone. It's just a tiny version of the taskbar.
It's
And,
dangerously close to the bottom 3-button home button navigation. Like it reminds me of that by having a
Yeah.
strip of icons along the bottom. Like, are we edging back to the way things used to be, but with apps? Like, I don't know. I like it, but it's oddly reminiscent of that,
Well, for those of you who split screen multitask a lot, I'm sure it'll be really useful because, it's kind of annoying having to like switch apps by entering your recents menu all the time or having to swipe all the way back to the home screen and then finding the app. With this taskbar, you can just swipe up, drag and drop to enter split screen mode.
Cool.
Okay.
Very cool.
Tiny
Some stuff.
taskbar.
Tiny taskbar.
makes it
We're going to
sound
talk
so
more about
cute.
Android 15 in a little bit too, though. So
yeah.
It keeps
There's
rolling.
actually one more article I wanted to get out before the show went live, but it's not live yet, unfortunately. You'll probably hear about it after the show goes on air tomorrow, whenever it's out.
You're a
Is it
machine,
good? Is it a good one? Is it juicy?
It's a good one.
Oh, you give us a hint. Give us a tease.
Desktop mode related.
Oh, that's good.
Where's my popcorn?
We might have to do an emergency show after you publish that article to talk about it. So.
It's not that big.
Episode 56B coming up tomorrow.
So before we move on real quickly, there are over 3 million apps in the Google Play Store currently as of a report in August 2024.
Okay.
And also interesting that as part of that report I saw, it says 21% of millennials open an app 50 plus times a day, and 49% of the people, of all people, open an app 11 plus times a day, which I know I open apps more than 11 times. Like we're probably closer to 50, right? But it's just shows how much.
That's
how
saying
much people are using
any
their
app
apps.
or a single app?
Any app. Yeah. So
I feel like that number used to be higher. Like I feel like in All About Android days, we would talk about that, and it was like, yeah, well, maybe that's unlocking your phone.
that's
where
unlocking
it's
your
like
phone, right? Yeah.
over like 100 or 200 times a day or whatever.
Anyway, so in terms of numbers, though, got an interesting story for you. I don't know if our good friend Burke, friend of the show, is watching live or not, if he's going to listen to this, but I've been touting the year of the tablet for, I don't know, Jason, how many years now?
Many years. You forgot to make it plural when you started, and
it might be 2024 is the year of the tablet, because for the first time in a very long time, we've seen year-over-year growth in tablet sales. Now, mind you, it's not a lot. Right? There were roughly about 34 million units sold, which is nothing compared to the phone marketplace. But not only Apple showed a large amount of iPads shipped in Q2 of 2024, but Samsung, Lenovo, Huawei, Xiaomi, and all the others also kept the pace. It wasn't like Apple kind of like blew up and sold a bunch of iPads. But if in looking at this data, we saw that a year ago, Q2 2023, the market share was roughly Apple 37%, Samsung 20.6%, Lenovo 7%, Huawei 5%, Xiaomi 3%. Those market shares, they've kind of moved a little bit here and there. Apple went down to 35%, Samsung stayed at 20%, Lenovo still at 7%, Huawei went up to 6.8%, Xiaomi went up to 5.8%. So the market shares are about the same, but the shipments themselves showed a total of 22.1% growth across the entire industry, most notably led by Huawei and Xiaomi, who Xiaomi year over year had 94.7% growth, and Huawei showed 40.3% growth. Apple and Samsung both showed 18% growth. So just the fact that more people are buying tablets than previous years has the kind of analysts saying that the tablet marketplace is past the pandemic. It's back to pre-pandemic sales levels, and tablets are on the rise. So very exciting.
So in the Android world, does that kind of lend credence to the thought that like the tablet are better? Like there's just better tablet devices out there?
No, I think
now?
I think there are more options and more available in China than not.
I mean,
I think the vast majority of tablets that are being sold are just like really cheap tablets for budget recreation and like media consumption.
Yeah,
that's always been true, and I'm sure that's still true.
Yeah. Everybody needs a little slab that's larger than their phone for watching a Netflix movie or whatever, especially for kids and stuff like that. So yeah, that's probably a large part of it.
Yeah. So
all right, the years of the tablet.
Viva la tablet, everyone. With the mini taskbar, right?
With the little mini taskbar. It's so adorable. You know who else is adorable? You. That's right, patrons. You're adorable. Patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. We couldn't do this show without you. You guys are, and girls and gals and whoever you are, you're awesome. So thank you for helping us and supporting us at patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. We're talking to you, Tommy Devine, and Keon Carney, and Peter Keefe, the author or creator of last week's Bug Droid. We're also talking to you, Rob Triner, and Stephen Myers. Yeah, you five, you're awesome, but you're all awesome. And you're all awesome because you help us each and every week by voting for a story that you want us to talk about. Before we get there, some of you are awesome because you send us imagery, kind of like Peter Keefe did last week. And let's see if I can throw it on the screen. Apparently my computer is locked up. There we go. We have a Bug Droid riding a motorcycle, reading a newspaper while riding the motorcycle, and also using the smartphone. There's a lot going on here that is illegal, Bug Droid.
Yeah. Ray
Definitely.
Madison sent this in, and it's fantastic. He said that he enjoys riding a motorcycle, and he wanted to make a bug droid that shared his love of motorcycles, but it's got several limbs as far as we could tell. So, and it's not safe. By the way, it is not safe to look at your phone and read a newspaper while driving a motorcycle. So let's pray that this motorcycle is parked and not.
And just it's hovering like It's in place, but somehow balanced to not need a kickstand or any hands on the handlebars. Anyways, looking beyond the little idiosyncrasies of this image, I like it a lot, and thank you for making that, Ray. It's a wonderful job. So the rest of you voted for your story of the week that you wanted us to talk about. In last place was 14% of the votes, was Walmart's oldest ONN Android TV device is still getting updates. I just got to say, like, who saw that coming? 30% of you voted for Google Lens now lets you record videos to add voice context to your searches. I think that's pretty neat. But you didn't. What you thought was neat was Samsung management being furious, absolutely furious with its latest, quote, Apple-like designs. This is an article in Android Central that talks about a report from Aju News in Korea with sources from the inside of Samsung claiming that Lee Jae-yong, MX Division's chairman at Samsung, is angry, just so upset about negative response to the company's increasing resemblance to Apple products and Apple design, which really, like, Samsung's always kind of had a little thing for Apple, but maybe this year was a year too far. The chairman himself stepped in after the controversy over Apple's design plagiarism. This is the source talking. Design plagiarism and quality issues surrounding the Buds 3 series and Galaxy Watch 7 released last month. The internal atmosphere is currently very bad. So the higher ups inside Samsung not happy with the Apple chasing, I guess.
Now here's my I'm going to play skeptic to this story.
Okay.
The fact that this is happening after the fact, after the launch, I know Samsung's an enormous company and the senior management's not aware of what everything is doing, but I've got to imagine at some point there's like, and here's what we'll be announcing, some sort of briefing, right? And that if like, I find it hard to believe that someone that high up in the company is surprised by what they're releasing.
Well, maybe it's less surprised about what they're releasing, more surprised about their reception of it. But if that, you know what I mean? Like, oh, everybody is comparing this to Apple design. What were you thinking? But didn't they see that beforehand? And if they didn't, what's going on?
Maybe they just didn't expect as much backlash as they've been given.
Yeah.
Yeah, they saw it coming, and then the reaction, they're like, see, we told, like they weren't comfortable with it. Now I don't know. I just, the having worked in corporation kind of things, the Monday morning quarterbacking by senior management is never welcome, I think, for the folks working on it, as well as just in general to keep like company morale and stuff like that. That's not good. So if it's one thing to be like, hey, we've got quality issues, I'm not happy about the quality issues, to be like, we've got quality issues and you're copying Apple, like, come on, man, they're doing the best they can. I don't know. I sympathize with the Samsung workers.
Maybe this is a disgruntled Samsung employee who's like, about to quiet quit and is like, I'm just going to stir some stuff up while I can.
Maybe.
But who the heck knows? I don't know. Born to Eat in our chat says this story is very sus, so...
Which I think is fair. I think it's fair. I don't know. This was making the rounds. Mishaal, right? It was like everybody took this and ran with it. I saw it on a bunch of sites. Yeah.
I mean, it's a very salacious headline. Like a Samsung executive complaining about their Apple-like design.
Yeah,
of course, everyone's going to run with that.
Yeah,
of course. Indeed.
Oh, man.
And you wanted us to run with it, which is why you voted for it, and that's why we talked about it. And we'll do that each and every week for those of you who support us on Patreon, patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. Thank you to all of you for your support. And can't wait to see what we have to talk about next time. Not next week, because next week's going to be a different kind of show, but the week after.
2 weeks.
We'll talk about in a couple of weeks. All right, we've got more coming up. We've got like an insane hardware block, actually. I feel like we say that every week right now. We are getting tons and tons of hardware news and devices in hand.
Just
this
that
week
time
is
of
no
the
different.
year.
It
Just
never
that
stops. It never stops.
It feels like it never stops. There is a time when it slows down. We're definitely not there. That's coming up.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with the news that we know before we get to the news that we think we know because they're leaks. Mishaal, why don't you go first?
All right. So earlier today, Google dropped the news that they have announced a new Google TV streaming device, the new Google TV streamer. And what you may notice is that there's no Chromecast in the name. That's because Chromecast is dead. Long live the Chromecast. So Google has announced that they are discontinuing their Chromecast line, even though they've sold over 100 million total units.
Yeah. The Chromecast was a
Pour one
really
out.
good device, you guys.
Cheers to Chromecast. One of my favorite products
seriously.
from Google over the last 10 years. I mean, I love Chromecast. It was great.
Yeah.
But let's be honest about Chromecast, Jason. We always kind of dinged it on the name, though, right? Like
we got used to it in the same
We
way.
did.
we
But it was
used
a
to use
household
the
name.
Nintendo Wii.
Yeah,
It was a
it
household
was.
name. People
Yeah.
know what a Chromecast is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Google wants with Google TV. They want you to know what Google TV is, which is why they named the last device Chromecast with Google TV. They wanted you to associate the two. But now they're ready to move on. Now
It was
this
a little
new
clunky,
device is
that
just
name.
Google TV streamer.
Okay. That makes sense.
And this device is not a dongle at all, like the previous Chromecast devices. Instead, it's a slanted pill-shaped device that sits in front of your TV, not behind it, not in a cabinet. In fact, Google wants you to put it out in the open because otherwise it'll interfere with its built-in Wi-Fi/Thread connectivity, and we'll talk more about Thread in a bit.
Looks
So
like a
this
doorstop.
device,
It's like a wedge.
yeah, it's like a little.
Maybe
it looks
it's-
like a Pixel tablet dock almost.
kind
not
of
as
like,
big.
like
It
if
doesn't
you
have focal pins.
shaved like a piece of cheese, if you shaved a wedge off the Pixel tablet dock, that's what it looks like.
You know what it invites me to do if I had one of these for review, Google?
Put a phone on to
is-
charge it.
Is that I would put my remote there when I'm not using the TV. And then I always know where the remote is.
I'm
Google.
excited to see how long it takes for my kids to put stickers on it. So we'll see.
So
Yeah.
let me run through some of the key differences between this device and the Chromecast with Google TV 4K, which this is basically the direct successor to. So this device, obviously, since it's not a dongle, it doesn't have an integrated HDMI cable, but it does support HDMI 2.1, although you have to purchase the cable separately because it doesn't come with one in the box. In contrast to the Chromecast, this has an integrated gigabit Ethernet port, so you don't have to use a adapter for that. But just like the previous version, it only supports Wi-Fi 5, so no Wi-Fi 6 or 6E. So you're going to have to use that Ethernet port if you live in an area where there's a lot of congestion on the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi band. But otherwise, it supports most of the same audio and video formats, with the exception of the inclusion of AV1 support. So the first-gen Chromecast with Google TV did not support AV1, but this one does support AV1 content. In terms of processing performance and just performance overall, this device has quadruple storage capacity. Now has 32 gigabytes versus 8 gigabytes on the Chromecast, and it also has 4 gigabytes of RAM versus 2 gigabytes on the Chromecast. And it also has a new processor with a CPU that's 22% faster according to Google. Google didn't say which CPU this device has, but I dug it up and find out it's the MediaTek MT8696. So MediaTek hasn't provided an official name for this processor, but this is the same chip that's found in the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K Max, the 2021 model specifically. So this is not like a top-of-the-end flagship model, flagship processor that people were hoping for. It's not going to have excellent CPU performance. You're not going to be like emulating the Nintendo Switch, for example, or you're not going to be playing a lot of intensive games on this device. But it should be more than capable enough of handling, a lot of apps at the same time, because it does have 4 gigs of RAM and it does have the latest version of Google TV. Speaking of which, the latest version of Google TV, there's a whole bunch of new features, starting with the new home panel. So if you have a lot of Google Home devices, you can open the quick settings panel, or you can press the customizable button on the remote to open the new home panel. And this basically just shows your favorite devices in the Google Home app. So if you open the Google Home app and you like favorite your lights, your cameras, this will show up in the home panel. And it's basically the same home panel interface you have on your Pixel phone or your other Android 14 device. I'm personally going to be using this a lot.
Yeah,
totally, for sure.
Yeah. And
I mean, this whole update basically moves Google TV out of just being the living room to being more of into the home environment overall, right? It plugged it into that's why it was funny, because we were talking about like why announce this today and not next week at Made by Google. But Mishaal, you're going to get to it. This device is in the Nest group umbrella, right?
Yeah.
Which is more the Google Home stuff, whereas next week is the Pixel 9s and the phones and that sort of thing. We might see them all as one, but I can see the org chart where like this is home technology and the Google TV falls in the home area, and that's why you see such a major integration with the home app. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and speaking of home, this Google TV streamer is a smart home hub. It has an integrated Thread radio, so it can act as a border router, which basically means, Thread is a low power mesh network, and devices that can act as Thread border routers basically connect other Thread devices to your Wi-Fi network and thus the internet. And for those of you who don't know, this is all part of the Matter smart home standard, which basically wants to make smart home devices interoperable. So you can have devices from Amazon, from Apple's HomeKit ecosystem, from SmartThings, and basically all can communicate as part of one network instead of just like 5 different apps and 5 different incompatible networks. And the idea here is you have this TV as your smart home hub that can link all these devices together and even communicate with them without needing an internet connection.
So now let me ask you this, Mishaal, and I know this chatter in the live chat as we're talking about this, they tell you not to mount it on a wall or to hide it, to put it on the table in front of it. My TV is mounted on the wall, and to the left of it is a shelving unit where I have the box with all the connections and that the Chromecast and stuff like that. Will it still work to the left of the TV, or does it have to be right in front? You know what I mean? Like, how important is
they
this
just don't
placement?
want you to obstruct anything, like putting it underneath, like, in a cabinet where there's like wood that's blocking the line of sight from it to, whatever Wi-Fi network you have. They just want it somewhere out in the open. You could technically, I guess, mount it on a wall, as long as it's like, visible and it's nothing obstructing the Wi-Fi and the Thread signal.
I will tell you,
you could put it in a cabinet if you want to, but obviously it's going to degrade the Wi-Fi signal.
My wife will have words with the product manager who made that declaration, because she wants everything hidden and away, and you can't see anything.
I'm sure you can get away with it. I'm sure though it won't be that big of a deal unless you're trying to stream 4K HDR content all the time.
Yeah. Just put your router in the same hidden away place.
Well, it's funny because I gotta admit, I am so happy as you're going through these specs and talking about it, Mishaal. Like, this checked all the boxes of all my complaints about the Google TV, the Chromecast with Google TV or whatever. The lack of memory, the lack of processor, the lack of Ethernet, and I even bought the dang power adapter with the Ethernet cable, and I never ran the Ethernet wire to the living room. So I just wasted $30 buying that darn thing. I was going to do it someday, but I guess now I need to do it for this box.
Okay. There's a couple other things.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Sorry. There's a couple other things I want to talk about because I'm still not done going over the big changes. Yep. There's a new voice remote with a customizable button and Find My Remote support. So if you lose your remote, there's a button on the back of the Google TV streamer you can press, and it'll make a loud beeping noise on the remote itself to help you locate it. And there's also a new customizable button on the bottom right. There's a star button you can press, and you can choose whether to launch a particular app, to open the device input menu, or to launch the previously mentioned home panel. And interestingly, this remote is compatible with the existing Chromecasts. So you can buy it and use it with your existing devices, but it's to be determined whether or not the Find My Remote feature will work, because you'll have to communicate with a Google Assistant device. You'll have to say the "Hey G" word, and then you have to say "Find My Remote," because you can't press the button on the Chromecast because it doesn't have a button to press. Other than that, Google TV features. Of course, this is 2024, so you got to have AI and you got to have Gemini in it. So what Google is integrating is they're adding Gemini throughout the Google TV home screen You'll be able to get full summaries, reviews, and season-by-season breakdowns of content by asking Gemini questions. You can create a fully custom screensaver to use for ambient mode. You can have the Google TV streamer use AI to curate content suggestions on your home screen. You can build watch lists with recommendations, and all sorts of other stuff that they are trying to integrate into the Google TV experience. And this device, by the way, costs $99.99, so it's double the price of the Chromecast with Google TV 4K. It is cheaper than what I expected it to be.
I was gonna say, what were our predictions last week? I forgot. You predicted
I
like
predicted
150.
pretty high, like 150.
Yeah. I was like,
to be honest, I thought it would have a better processor.
Yeah,
I think that was probably the big
in the
thing.
80 range. I think.
Yeah. I think I'm happy with 99 for what they're offering. I think it's a decent price. It's cheaper than the Shield. If the Shield is the most comparable device.
But then again, if you look on Amazon, you look at the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K Max, $39.99.
Or the
and it has Wi-Fi 6E.
We're gonna
It doesn't have 32 gigabytes of storage, but
we're gonna hear an email in defense of the ONN device at $25.
A lot of people, that's still a really good option. Like the only downside of that device is just it doesn't have a gigabit Ethernet port like the Google TV streamer does. So
and you have to go to Walmart to get it.
And you got to go to Walmart to get it.
Yeah.
Michael.
By the way, if you want to buy this Google TV streamer, you're gonna have to wait because it's only available for pre-order today. You'll have to wait until September 24th if you want it to go on sale. Like that's when it'll actually start shipping to people.
Right. Which I cannot wait to get my hands on this thing. I'm so excited.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, number one, I'm gonna get it because I want to take the Google TV with Chromecast to put on another TV in another place in the house, and I've been waiting to pull the trigger till I knew what was coming. But again, I think this wants everything I want from it. Jason, did we have a question from the audience?
No, I just had someone who let's see here. Now my computer is locking up. Who was it? It was Michael Corcoran who said, "I don't see why they have to discontinue the Chromecast. It still offers a more discreet alternative. Why can't they have the dongle form factor and this little streamer thing?" And I think probably a lot of people are going to feel that same way, right? Like $99 isn't a lot for this thing, but the marketplace, it's a very standard price to have like a $49 or $40 entry there, and Google is just basically saying, nah, not anymore. So that's kind of a bummer. I feel you, Michael.
Well, because I do think the alignment with Home and Nest and stuff like that kind of shows in that direction where it's more than just a stick. It's more than just a streamer. It allows you to do all this home stuff and builds you into the home environment. I mean, I don't know. We didn't ask Google why they didn't do that. That might be a question we can ask them if we talk to them about it. So
why did you do that, Google? That's how we'll ask it. No, we won't. We'll be much nicer. They invited us to their event.
Yeah.
Any other things?
Yeah. Speaking of Nest, there was a Nest thermostat, right, Mishaal?
Oh yeah, there was. There's a new 4th generation Nest thermostat, which is not really Android related, but if you've been looking to
adjacent.
get into the Nest ecosystem, you can now look at this 4th generation model. Of course, they've integrated AI throughout the Google Home app to make it, more useful in telling you about, managing your temperature and et cetera, and managing your energy. So, if you want to pick this up, I believe I don't have how much it costs at the bottom.
It's at the bottom of the article. If you scroll down there, Jason.
The
availability, I should remember because I wrote it, but there it is.
$79.99 in the US.
Yep.
August
79 in Canada. August 20th. So soon. I did this. I wrote the article for AndroidFaithful.com, which, by the way, you can go to AndroidFaithful.com, read Mishaal's write-up at the Google TV, as well as my write-up at the Nest. I kind of lost it. Scroll down a little, Jason. I lost it at like 11:30 at night, writing the caption for all of these beautifully lifestyle images they provided for us.
Yeah.
They sent a picture of the temperature sensor that comes with the Nest, and I just kind of said, on this wonderfully curated minimalist design that we all hope to achieve.
Designed shelf that looks nothing like a real person's house. And
So
yet we hope to
funny.
achieve this level of interior design while keeping our room cool or heated, depending on the season. Very nice.
Yeah. Fun times.
I think it looks good.
Do you guys have Nest
Pretty
thermostats?
device. No,
I don't. So I actually have a April Air thermostat that when I got my HVAC done, I was like, oh, and I want to get a Nest thermostat. The guy's like, no, you don't. He's like, this is better. Like the HVAC guy. So I was like, fine, I'll go with it. Also, I don't have there's the one wire that you need to power the whole thing, right? And I'm in an older house and we don't have that wire, and this other one didn't work with it, so I'm limited. Yeah.
Same.
So frustrating.
Yeah. I have a Nest 3rd Gen, and I mean, to be honest, it's mostly just there now for me to remote control my temperature through my phone. Yep. Like I don't really rely on it automatically changing my temperature, just because I feel like I need to adjust it myself.
But now with Gemini, it will know.
They're so useful.
Yeah, it will know when you adjust it, and then it will make the adjustments before you make the adjustments, Mishaal, with Gemini, because it's going to solve your life. I will say the new form factor of this 4th gen is very nice looking. It is the hardware design of it is pretty sleek, and like the graphics on the device itself look pretty nice and all stuff like that. I did get a little like FOMO. I'm like, oh, now I kind of want it, but
it's pretty.
Yeah, it is pretty. Like it changes colors. It's tells you what the weather is. It's nice. So, but yeah. All right. Well, staying in the Google hardware world, we are, as we mentioned at the top of the show, we're 1 week away from Made by Google, August 13th in Mountain View, where we're going to find all the details of what continues to be the leakiest ship, possibly the leakiest ship in all of hardware. Although in their defense, I was on DTNS last week on Friday talking about this with Tom and Sarah about it. Samsung was pretty darn leaky before Unpacked, right? Like I know the joke now is that everything Google leaked, but I feel like almost everything this year has leaked ahead of the announcement for every manufacturer. So I do want to give Google a little bit of slack here for whatever reason it just is, but it seems ridiculous. But the latest round of leaks, and I just want to be quick on it because we're running long. We got more details around the Pixel 9 Pro Fold. There was a video that was leaked that showed how it folds flat and what the new hinge on it looks like. And then also, which I do love, we're looking at an article on Android Headlines, and there is is it German or what is that video? It is it's another language video. It was an international release of marketing materials, and there's just a still shot of the hinge, and it says Unvergelich. It's just there it is. So it's pretty funny. So but the more details are just coming out, so we're seeing more stuff about what Gemini can do with it. We also found out that it's not gonna it was leaked, this is all not confirmed yet, but it was leaked that it won't be shipping until September. So those of you who are hoping to get hands on it immediately in August are going to have to wait a little. If this leak is to be believed, the belief is that it's going to be available for pre-order on August 13th and then likely shipping in early September. We also got some leaks of pricing details. The Pixel 9 Pro Fold is expected to cost $1799, which is the same price as the original Pixel Fold. So it's not like the price went up or anything. So interesting there. I think also, Mishaal, you wrote on Android Authority last week that one was spotted in the wild in Taiwan. There was a photo of somebody using the new Pixel Fold on some sort of stand, using it in open book format. So it exists. It's real.
Not hiding it at all.
And this photo also shows off the case for the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, right? That's the
there
title.
You go.
Pixel 9 Pro, that's gonna be hard. Oh man. The new Fold, it has a case that kind of wraps around the camera island, and then wraps around the front screen. It was like a beige case. So of course there will be cases there. And then finally, in what I think is the most exciting leak of all this batch of Pixel leaks, is that it was leaked that the Pixel 9 finally has a weather app. We've talked about this. We've wondered why. I've installed a little shortcut to load the web page about weather, but it looks like they've evolved the design paradigm of Google Weather, and now it's in its own standalone app that will be available on Pixel 9, which I feel like we should have the Hallelujah music playing or whatever it is, because all we really want is a weather app, and there it is. So, yeah, thank you.
Sorry, I don't have it.
All they had to do was release an app on the Google Play Store that just acted as a shortcut to that weather interface in the Google app.
Yep,
that's all they had to do.
That's all they had to do.
Why are they making a dedicated app?
I'm
Why
fine
is it
with a
only on the
dedicated
Pixel?
app. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with all this. I want a dedicated app. And why only on the Pixel? That's the bigger question. Just make it available to everybody. What's the one thing we know about Android users? They love weather apps.
Yeah.
Right? So why
Weather
not
app's
own
a
that
big
space? You know? Yeah. So,
These things have serious like Pixel widget vibes going.
yeah.
So I bet it'd be interesting with the new weather app. I wonder if each of these will be available as its own widget on your home screen. They kind of look like they would be. You know what I mean?
They do. They look like ready to go widgets, right?
Like, am I looking at a home? No, I'm not. Okay. Yeah, they look like
Zawa.
ready to go widgets. Yeah,
Yeah, they do.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, weather fans.
Yep.
You got your weather updated.
But that's not it. There's more.
No, there's
with
more
this.
leaks. We gotta finish off the leaky section. Well, maybe not even right. No, okay. This is the end of the.
This
leaky
is the last
section.
of the leaks. The last
geez.
of the
Okay,
famous
thank God.
international leaks, as they
All
say.
right, all right, yeah. Before the main event, so this is the last leak you get. Is Pixel Watch 3. There is also a promo video for this. Basically, it shows off the two sizes. As you can see in the screen capture, the 41 millimeter, which matches the standard that we've seen before. And then the 45 millimeter, which is looking real nice, a little bit larger. I would definitely put that on my wrist. And yeah, while I talk about it, I'll go ahead and play that and mute it because it's loud for me anyways. $349 for the 41 millimeter size, $399 for the 45 millimeter size. And yeah, the video show things like personal best run, cardio load feature, morning brief with a readiness score from Fitbit, all sorts of things in Spanish. So you have to read Spanish in order to read.
I do feel for them that they're trying to do a global rollout here, and it's really, really hard. And whether it's Germany or Spain or wherever this stuff is leaking, like this stuff is getting released. It's just, I gotta imagine it's frustrating for the Google team.
Yeah.
So,
And I also imagine that it's probably expected. They probably don't like it,
Yeah.
but they probably assume, yeah.
And
You know what I
it's-
mean? Like at this point, has there been a year where it's like, wow, surprisingly, we hardly leaked a single thing? And like, no, it just happens year after
we
year.
talked about it last week, and I talked about it in DTNS. It's just like they know that they're choosing to have the stuff available sooner versus announcing and then having to wait and doing all this sort of stuff. And so and again, the people who are noticing this are us. And it's the number of people who don't care about this is a much larger population, which actually will move the needle on their sales. So I understand. So
$400 expensive? Too expensive? Or
I mean,
about
everything's
right?
too
Like
expensive.
I feel like it's that's true.
It's
Everything's
expensive.
I feel like it's fair. Just
Pretty
seeing some-
expensive compared to the watch that you just reviewed,
Yeah.
right, Jason?
Well, we're gonna get to that in a little bit. Yeah,
Get
but
that, a little teaser.
That's true. But I'll
Before we do that, just a quick alert, talk about announcing things, then waiting for them to be available. Those of you who've been waiting to get the Moto Tag to get into the Android Find My Device network, Moto Tag is officially on sale. So if you're looking for that sweet, small Apple AirTag-esque form factor that Motorola was offering, you can now order yours online if you're waiting on that after not choosing the Chipolo or Pebble Bees. So yeah, go buy the Moto Tag. Someone should tell Win. We should text Win and tell him that this is on sale. So
someone get a Moto Tag and then email us at contact@androidfaithful.com and let us know what you think of it.
And also let us know if you can find Jason's luggage because he still hasn't found it. So.
No, that's the weird thing. I found the luggage. I can't
did?
find the tag. Like, I checked everything. So I must have put it somewhere. It's just weird that the tag can't tell me where it is. I mean, come on. That's like its only job.
I love it.
And it won't tell me where it is.
So
anyways. Okay.
So yeah, and you can find the Moto Tag for sale, I believe, on Motorola.com. So yeah, go check that out.
Sweet. Cool. So last week I got a brand new phone delivered to me from the fine folks at Nothing. You may remember a few months ago I did a review of the Nothing Phone 2A. And my review was mainly that, it was good in many ways, somewhat glitchy from my daily experience. Seemed like a lot of the commenters on the video took, had a different view on it, but I was like, hey, you know what? It was my experience. What can I say? Anyways, Nothing has released an update to this called the Nothing Phone 2A Plus. I have it here on my fancy in-studio camera upstairs. Ooh. And you can see, so it's an interesting upgrade because there's not an insane amount of difference. Because, I mean, they definitely have upgraded some of the specs, but it's as you can see, it's a new gray variant, which is the one that I have. I think they have another color, but I was sent the gray variant, which looks really nice. And my camera might be glitching. I apologize about that. I hope not. MediaTek Dimensity 7350 inside, or 7350 Pro. Which is, I think, a little bit of an increase because nothing's saying that it gets around 10% improvement of speed, 30% improvement in gaming performance. I mean, I'm finding things to be, pretty zippy, but I haven't been relying upon this as my daily driver quite yet, so I need to do that. And then 50-watt charging wired up from 45 watts, so that's a very small bump. But another one of I'd say the big upgrades here, if you like taking selfies, is that it definitely has a better selfie camera on the device. A 50 megapixel Samsung JN1 sensor, f2.2 aperture. This is up from a 32 megapixel Sony IMX 615 sensor. And so, I went camping over the weekend. And so I challenged myself. I was like, how am I going to review this device? And I was like, well, one of the big standout features of this phone is that they've upgraded the selfie camera. So I'm just going to take a crap ton of selfies. So my entire weekend is littered with, I think, 100 pictures of me going, basically in front of things. So it'll be an interesting review. That's coming up soon. $399 in the US via beta program, as they did with the 2A, up $50 from the 2A. So a little bit of a price bump there. And yes, this does also have the kind of limited US band support, like 5G on AT&T isn't going to work. Neither will Volt or voice over Wi-Fi. So, and then I think 5G on T-Mobile maybe has some limited bands.
Yeah.
Anyways.
You're correct.
So
yeah.
Keep that in mind. But I mean, so, I've had pretty good connectivity experience in using the 2A, and then now the 2A plus. I'm on T-Mobile, so your mileage vary.
Jason, that's the first time I've heard anyone say VoLTE is volt. I've never heard that before.
Oh no?
Yeah, I've never heard that.
I don't know.
It always in my head.
right.
I just spell it out as VoLTE. Voice over LTE. I've never thought of calling it saying volt.
VoLTE. There we go. Yeah, I think early on I pronounced it, and then it was VoLTE, and right now I just forgot. So I didn't say VoIFI, which is the voice over Wi-Fi. Could be
VoIP.
Never know.
VoIFI.
VoIFI.
Cool. All right, I like the nothing. I like the nothing phone. I don't know. I wish.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty looking device. I have to say,
Yeah.
They usually are. So there we go.
Cool. Boop. All right. Well, Mishaal, you got a phone, right? That you can show off.
That's right, Ron. So I have in my hands the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6.
Oops. Sorry about that.
You just removed me for a second there. I was like, what the
I know.
heck?
I didn't mean to.
So I got this a couple of days ago on August 1st, I believe. And of course, it takes like a whole day to set things up. So I haven't had it for like a full week. This is not a full review, but I've had it for long enough to talk about my first impressions. And generally, from my experience, I would say that it lives up to the initial impressions that I had of the device at Unpacked. So let me switch over to my...
It looks very hard-edged just by looking at you holding it. Like it's...
Yes, I will talk about that.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to mention is the wider cover screen. I love it. This solves the main problem I had with the Z Fold 5, which was that the cover screen was way too narrow. Basically, almost all the time, I had to unfold the device to actually use it, right? Now, with the Z Fold 6, I don't have to do that nearly as often. I can actually do stuff on, this cover screen, right? I don't have to constantly unfold to actually read emails, read web pages, and, just do anything, basically. I can use it as a regular phone almost. It's not as wide as the Pixel Fold or the OnePlus Open, but it is there. It is close enough. It's actually usable as a regular phone when folded. And that's, I think, the biggest change. The second big change is that it is significantly thinner. And of course, it's kind of hard for me to show it here. I did post some pictures that compare the thinness of this phone to the OnePlus Open. And it's pretty much identical. Like, this is almost the same thickness as a OnePlus Open, which is already really good. And it's also really light. Like, it doesn't feel uncomfortable to hold it in my hand, for a long time. And yes, Ron, you did mention the sharp edges. Yes, it is kind of pointy, but it doesn't actually bother me. I've been able to hold it, like this, reading content. It doesn't really dig and like hurt my palms as much as I thought it would, which is I don't want to see a surprise, because like that was one of the things I praised the Xiaomi Mix Fold for, and I'll get onto the comparisons with the Chinese foldables in a bit. I still think One UI is the best Android release for foldables in terms of how it handles, windowing and, like multitasking features. Like, there's so many cool things you can do with, multitasking. You can pop up windows. You can, the way it handles recent tasks, the way you can, switch between apps. Everything is fast, fluid, and works really well. Like, I just think overall it handles multitasking and etc. the best. And even though it has a relatively small, for foldables, book-size foldables, a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, I think is what it had, or was like 4,200 or something like that. I haven't had any issues so far with the battery life over the past couple of days that I have used as my daily driver. And I also have not had any issues with the display. Samsung, they are the market leaders in OLED displays, and once again, they have made an excellent OLED display that really stands out on this device. I'm not even close to max brightness. There you go. I was like wondering, why is it so dim? I forgot I have eye comfort shield on. Like, there's so many different features you can have to make it more comfortable and like look better. And yeah, it's just a really, really good display on both. I think there's an LTPO on both the cover and the inner display. Now, of course, there are some cons. You have these cameras on the back, which just, sensor-wise, they do not hold a candle. They are not nearly as good as the cameras on the OnePlus Open or the Xiaomi Mix Fold 4. But then again, that really, depending on whether or not you're going to be taking a lot of photos with your foldable. And another problem is the phone is super wobbly when it's folded and it's sitting on your desk. So like, if you're like just trying to see something when it's here, it's going to be constantly wobbling. It kind of bothers me, but it'll probably be fixed when I get a case, but it's just something that I need to mention. The last thing I want to mention is that this is a really, really good foldable if you live in the US and you do not have access to any other Chinese foldable, right? Like, if you're in China, there's so much competition and there's a lot of phones with significantly better hardware. Like, I just got a couple of weeks ago used the Mix Fold 4, and that is way thinner. It has rounded corners. The software, I would say, is still probably better on Samsung, but like, Samsung's moat is availability. The fact that in the US your options are Samsung, OnePlus, and Google is a huge benefit to Samsung, because they have the availability, they have the distribution, they have the ability to repair your devices when it's broken. They have the 7 years of update support, which is still unmatched in terms of foldables. They have a lot going for them. But, when it comes to hardware, they are not at the top. But the Z Fold 6 is pretty dang good. Like, I do not feel like I downgraded when I moved my OnePlus Open to the Z Fold 6. I feel this is pretty comparable in hardware. It has better software, and I definitely feel like this is a great device that I would be happy to daily drive for the next couple of months,
Cool.
So the Z Fold 6.
I'm still blown away by the harsh edges of it and the squareness of it, and like, they get just
I know, like, I thought it's going to be really uncomfortable, but
yeah,
not really.
So I guess my question to you is, you've been using the OnePlus Open as your daily driver up to this point, right? Are you now off that and you're on this one? Do you feel like that this could still keep the productivity that you had with the OnePlus Open?
Oh, yeah. I mean, over time, since I used the OnePlus Open for so long, there were just some tiny issues that just kept piling up. That just like Oxygen OS, there's a lot of things I could say about it. There's a lot of good things it does. Like, Open Canvas is still the best implementation of like 3-way multitasking I've seen on a phone.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
But there's a lot of other small things that I
Yeah.
take issue with in
Interesting.
Oxygen OS. And I feel like I don't really have nearly as many problems with One UI.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, excellent. We'll look forward to your full review.
Yeah,
Neato.
it'll go to be a while because there's so many other foldables coming
So
up
much
to get through.
right? Yeah.
But yeah, stay tuned. Follow me on social because I'm posting probably a lot of stuff about this phone and One UI in general. Like I have so much more One UI content to talk about.
It looks so like it looks like a lab tool.
Yeah, it looks
Like
very
the
metallic,
silver,
right? It's like
the
very
metallic silverness of it and
Yeah.
the harsh edges. Like it feels like, I don't know what the right word is, but it feels like
Stark.
something I would see a scientist using, you know, like in the laboratory or that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
So Mishaal, you are a scientist now. There you go. I promoted you.
mad scientist.
Yeah. Not mad. No, you're a very efficient, productive scientist. I wouldn't say you're a mad scientist. That's a different kind of phone. So. Maybe the Nothing phone might be a mad scientist.
Maybe
with all the lights and everything.
with the glyphs going
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, speaking of Nothing, Jason, we got so much more hardware. One more thing to go.
Yes, indeed. And I won't spend much time on this because I have a video about it. So if you want to see how I feel about the CMF Watch Pro 2 in its entirety, well, you can head over to the TechSploder YouTube channel and check that out. But
Sorry.
we're both trying to control at the same time. But yes, I have been I'd say I probably lived with the CMF watch on my wrist for almost 3 weeks. And
Wow.
you know, so what is the story of the CMF Watch Phone 2 or Watch Pro 2? It is a very inexpensive wearable, $69, running Android, but not running Android Wear OS. So, you know, what you end up getting is kind of a more proprietary looking OS experience. You can't like swipe away notifications. You might want to, but you can't. You can ignore them, you know, to get rid of them, or you can clear the whole stack down at the bottom and everything. But notification triage, sorry, my phone is being weird, was just a really, really finicky for me. So that's one of my major complaints is that the notification triage, you got to nail it on a wearable like this, in my opinion. And, you know, half the time the connection between the watch and the phone would not be right. I'd have to like restart one or the other in order for it to reconnect. And sometimes the notifications would just stop coming through, and then out of nowhere, just seemingly at random, could never quite figure it out. Suddenly the watch starts going nuts. And, you know, they're all streaming through and everything. So I'd say design wise, you know, it's really interesting because the removable bezel. Software wise was overall, in my experience, a pretty big letdown. Notifications just being one reason for that. There's no security model on here, so you can't pin protect or pattern protect. So it's all wide open, you know, essentially, which is not good. Hopefully they fix that in an update. So anyways, that's all you really need to know about the CMF Watch Pro 2 right now. If you want to see my full review, I did the treatment on the TechSploder YouTube channel, youtube.com/@TechSploder. I even included a fun little part where I took the bezel off and then I suddenly couldn't get it back on. And I can't remember where it is. But anyways, it's a nice little montage of that whole experience. It took me like 3 or 4 minutes to get the thing back on. So, you know, keep that in mind. If you're going to remove the bezel, just make sure you can actually get it back on. CMF Watch Pro 2, my review, I would say it's not a stellar watch for $69.99, but I appreciate that it exists. There you
Good
go.
effort. Nothing.
Yeah,
Good effort.
good effort.
All right, home stretch. We got some app news to share with you all, and Google continues to be busy. Last week, they actually made some announcements in the search and maps/Waze world focused around user safety. We had the coverage up on AndroidFaithful.com. I wrote up about it. But basically, they saw some new features coming to Maps and Waze to make reporting road incidents easier. You know, a lot of these reports get sourced from both Maps and Waze communities and making them be able to be confirmed by another driver. You might have seen it while you're driving and see, oh, there's an accident. Now you can confirm that you saw the accident and kind of help other drivers as they're going from there. There's also new camera alerts in Waze. I know folks, you know, Mishaal, we were talking about it in Discord, right? People who love Waze. That's why Google hasn't killed it. since they acquired it, right? And there are these little aspects of Waze, like the camera notifications and other, speed limit, red light, and carpool lanes and things like that. So they're just continuing to keep Waze, the flame of Waze, alive, which is pretty cool to see. And they've also got navigation guidance when the phone screen is locked, which I feel like that was a question we got a couple of months ago. Someone wanted to keep navigating with their phone while the screen was locked. Now Waze will allow you to do that, which is going to come out on Android this month, and they're also bringing that to iOS later this fall. Lastly, and additionally on the search side of things, they made better tools in search to aid the removal process for, as they put it, explicit, non-consensual fake imagery. So this is Google combating deepfakes. And in that, for some reason, you find there is fake imagery of you can submit a report and put in a removal request, and Google will chase that down and give you more control over data about you yourself. That's in the search engine, which is pretty cool. And then lastly, with Circle to Search and Google Lens getting all this attention recently, and Circle to Search being all the rage this year, they're expanding their About This Image tool, which will allow people to understand an image's origins, how it's used across the web, and also indicate if it's been generated or enhanced by artificial intelligence. And so this is a big step in terms of giving you the true information behind an image that you might find in search as to whether it's actually real or not. So yeah, good job, Google, keeping the updates going.
Going to see a lot more of that, not just coming from Google, but a lot of the, that's a pretty big deal right now. A lot of movement in how can we identify whether this was created by AI and surface that for people. People want to know.
Just a little unrelated, but like, people are always joking about Google killing off products and like, when are they going to kill off Waze? But then I just had a thought, like, the kind of people who use Waze are like the most hardcore mapping users out there. Like long road truckers, right? The people who are actively, constantly submitting data about, incidents and all this other stuff that gets fed directly into Google Maps, right?
Yep.
So if you tick off those users by getting rid of Waze, like, who knows what's going to happen? They're not going to be contributing this useful information, and that'll actively degrade Google Maps. So true. I think Waze is probably going to stick around for a pretty long while. It's already stuck around for so long.
Agreed. Yeah. When did they acquire Waze? When did Google acquire?
It's been a long time.
Yeah. Has it been a decade or?
It's been longer than that. June 2013. So
2013. So it's been longer than a decade.
11 years.
11 years.
Wild.
Wow. Yeah, that is interesting. Because you would think, because in most other situations, Google would have just folded this.
They'd force it into Maps, right?
Its
like
primary
you have to use
product
Maps now. Yeah.
Yeah, but it really has withheld doing that. With
And
Waze
what I
for a
like
very
about
long time.
Waze versus Maps, Waze has a singular existence, which
And
is
Maps. Oh boy,
and
yeah,
Maps has become this bloated zeppelin of features that lurches along I haven't been anti-Waze, but I've been loyal to Google Maps. But like, I recently did a road trip. I drove from New York to Indianapolis and back, which had 800 miles, several states and stuff like that. And Google Maps was fine, but it was frustrating, like trying to re-navigate and doing all stuff that while I'm the only person in the car. And I wonder if I'd done that. Like, I should have done one way with Maps and one way with Waze. Next time I'll do that. But but yeah, good on Google for keeping Waze alive. So
yeah, keeping the Waze dream alive.
Indeed.
Parents might be excited about a new feature coming to Family Link. Family Link is the app that those of us who have Android devices and children's devices, because we have kids that have devices that we want to ensure that they have access to certain things and don't have access to other certain things. That's how you control that and timing and all that kind of stuff, locks and that sort of stuff within Family Link. Well, there's a feature called School Time that first came to the Fitbit Ace LTE smartwatch back earlier this year in May, and it allows parents to schedule in-class time periods, essentially, to limit distractions on the device while the kid is at school with that device. It also prevents things like certain apps from being accessed during that time, phone calls and message notifications on a per contact basis. So you could say, if it's coming from mom or dad, it comes through, but if it comes from anyone else, it doesn't, that sort of stuff. Now Google is bringing this to Android phones, tablets, and Galaxy Watches over the course of the next year. It will be controlled and adjustable inside of the Family Link app, though no word as of yet as far as exactly which devices are going to get this functionality. But yeah, that's a great feature set. Absolutely.
It's very cool, and I know more and more
parent.
schools are debating like just confiscating phones, because there's such a distraction kind of thing and that sort of thing. So like, if this is rolled out wide enough, this could be a good solution. So
yeah, potentially so. I mean, I think at our school, they have in each classroom there is like a wall with sleeves, and every sleeve has a name on it. And if you have a phone or a watch, you put it in the sleeve when you come in, and I don't know if this would replace that for those schools, because this isn't going to touch every single.
I was going to say,
schools can't enforce this.
Yeah.
But they can enforce kids putting their phones in sleeves.
Right. Yeah. That's the surefire method. Yeah. So cool. But good to have, because not all classes have that sort of thing, and so this would be very helpful.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what else is good to have?
What?
A good equalizer app on your phone, especially if you love listening to music all the time.
Sure is.
Yeah.
And just last week, the developer of Wavelet, which is one of the most popular equalizer apps on Android, released a new update that adds a feature I didn't know I needed until I tried it out. So basically, if you aren't aware, when you're listening to music and you lower the volume, a lot of the low frequencies and the high frequencies tend to get drowned out by the mid frequencies. And this is a problem that was well studied back in like the 1930s. And like a couple of scientists came up with some curves to describe and correct for this phenomena. And it basically eventually became like a standard. These Fletcher-Munson equal loudness curves.
Yeah.
And the developer of Wavelet has decided to build these equal loudness correction curves into his application, so that when you listen to music and then you lower the volume, the bass won't be like drowned out as nearly as much as it used to be. And I didn't really realize how much of a difference this actually makes. Like when I enable equal loudness, toggle it on and off, and I'm like listening to music at low volume, I can actually hear the bass. I can actually hear the thumpiness of a lot of songs. Like I didn't realize how bad music sounds at low volumes without this feature. And so like it completely changed the way I use my earbuds and listening to music. Like I can now, like when I'm working, I listen to music and I put it at like low volumes and just kind of have it in the background, and I'm not like suffering from degraded audio quality when I do so. So if you want to use this feature, you do have to subscribe to the pro version of the app. It's not a subscription, sorry. It's a one-time unlock of $499. I did do a giveaway on Android Authority. Unfortunately, I don't have any more codes to give. Although I could ask the developer if he wants to give some more for Android Faithful listeners. If you are interested, let us know. So yeah, go check out this article on Android Authority that talks about the need for equal loudness, and basically also talks about this feature and why it works the way it does.
Yeah, see if you get some codes for our patrons. That'd be great, Mishaal.
Yeah.
So that'd be awesome.
One other thing. It's not on our list, but whatever you're doing right now, take your phone, open the Google Lens app, and long press on the shutter button. Something new that you did not know exists will probably happen. You should see this little animation appear, and it'll say, ask about what you're seeing on screen.
Yep.
So basically you can point it at something, and then you can like say, oh, how many blueberries are in this image? So that's what I did on Twitter. I had like a picture of a plate, and I held down and I asked it, and then it did a search on Google. And because I'm in the US, it did an AI overview search with, the search generative experience, and it actually used Gemini to figure it out.
I didn't even say anything, and I just was doing it on my desk, and it was pointed at the keyboard, and it did this like animation of like stars, whatever, and it says, "Yeah, that's a keyboard. Looks like from Logitech."
Actually, let
right?
me demonstrate right now, actually on camera, very quickly.
Right.
I'm gonna switch over to my. Oh wait, no, I turned it off. My bad.
Did this just roll out?
So let me just show it. So Google Lens, you just long press on this, and then it says "Speak now" to ask about this image. What do you see right now?
And it says "Speak now" to ask you about this. It says what you're speaking.
Yeah, it's gonna obviously mess up there because I'm talking at the same time as explaining. But that's all you gotta do. Just long press on the shutter button in Google Lens.
And so just
and this should have rolled out, I believe, on Android and iOS. So you should be able to use it right now.
You're just so it's Google Lens voice search.
Google Lens. You can add context to what you're pointing your camera
talking to Gemini, talking directly to Gemini. That's really cool. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It told I pointed it at a corner, a very small corner of my keyboard that I have up here, and it said, "This is the Logitech MX Keys Advanced Wireless Illuminated." After I said, "What is this?" So that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Cool. That's very cool. Thanks, Mishaal.
That is a neat tip.
All right, cool. All right, well, we were running long, but we got some great emails. We want to make sure to hear from you. Everybody who writes in a contact at Android Faithful, we thank you so much. We got a ton of email this week answering a lot of our questions from last week's show. So let's dive right into the first one, which comes in from Dave from Virginia Beach. And he writes in and he says, "Hello, Android Faithful. Happy anniversary." Since this is our year anniversary.
Oh, that's right.
He says, "Just watching Android Faithful number 55 and responding to Ron's request to list older Android versions still running. I am running," all right, this is a long list. Get ready, everybody. "Android 11 on a Moto G as a kitchen clock timer using Google Assistant. Android 10 on a Samsung Note 9 as a television media player using Chromecast. Android 7 on a Samsung S4 as what I call my tricorder, using the remote control for several TVs at home and work, a podcast player for the gym, a workout recorder using Strong app and MyFitnessPal data entry. A rooted Lineage OS 10 running on a Samsung Note 4 as my nightstand clock, alarm clock, white noise player. And last but not least, Android KitKat 4.4 on an Evo Supersonic 4G, which, by the way, he nominates for the Android Hall of Fame. And he's using that device as a backup media player and travel nightstand alarm clock white noise player. He uses Lightning Bug as the best sleep noise app. He says, so when you see that 0.001% blip on the pie charts, that is me. Stay faithful, Dave from Virginia Beach. And that is wild. That Dave from Virginia Beach is living the Android faithful dream of not one, not two, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 devices that are running his life on all versions from KitKat all the way to Android 11. Right?
I aspire, but fail in that regard. That is impressive. Also, Evo 4G, HTC Evo 4G.
I remember that one.
2010 Google I/O conference is where this Wikipedia image was shot.
Good phone. I remember that. We got a ton of responses from people sharing their lists of previous devices, but Dave's took the cake. So bravo, Dave. You right now, that is the bar to beat everybody. So if you have more devices or older versions of Android running, write in and tell us. Contact at androidfaithful.com.
Contact at androidfaithful.com.
Right,
Just
Jason,
like George from NYC, who says, long time fan from BOL, all about Android, to here now, and super excited that you guys are still here. Thank you. We are too. Regarding the Google TV and Chromecast NVIDIA Shield talk from this last episode, I actually purchased the crazy low-cost priced ONN Google TV 4K streaming box at $19.88 at Walmart. Yeah, I know, it's Walmart. This device has replaced my smart TV's built-in hubs. It's the Samsung's. It has all the apps, but even more. I can also stream from internal, my Plex server. For those who know, you know. I can also install remote desktop apps, TeamViewer, AnyDesk, for me to look at my computers if some trouble arises. I can also install Nest Camera Hub to view security cams if need be, and the mic on the remote can be used to give smart home commands to Google Home at the press of a button instead of having to use the keywords OKG and not having to shout it across the room since I'm speaking into a remote. Are we getting a hint that I'm recommending this device? Well, I have to many people, and the biggest selling point is that it's only $19.88. So Ron, give it a try. Love the show. Glad you guys are still here with us. It brings a comfort to this Android nerd heart. Thank you, George. That is a testament right there to a less than $20 4K streaming box that apparently is really delivering.
I mean, going back to the discussion of the Google TV streamer, $100, $20.
Yeah, right. Get 5 of these.
Yeah.
Might not have as much storage, but it
obviously
does a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I love that he's using it to have remote desktop apps to monitor his computers from the comfort of his couch. That's fantastic.
That's neat, though. That sounds kind of painful to me. But
right.
Neat that you can. I appreciate that it works for you, but I would not be doing that.
All right, Mishaal, you got the last email.
Yeah, and our last email comes in from Will from Tigard, Oregon, who wrote in to say that you guys have been talking a lot about the Samsung Galaxy Watch 7 series recently, and people have been asking questions, so I thought I'd share my experience. So far, the watch has been great. I just upgraded from a Watch 6 because the deal was too good to pass up. I ended up paying $49 for the Watch 7 44mm variant. The reason I'm writing in, though, is because it seems like there's a story that nobody is telling. These new watches are no longer compatible with apps like Facer or Puji due to a change made by Google and Samsung. It seems like any watch service that offers Faces as a subscription will no longer work on Wear OS 5. I thought people should know because it may influence their purchasing decision when upgrading to the new watch platform. Thanks for a great show. You guys are the best. Will in Tigard, Oregon. So what he's referring to is a new policy change that Google made. They did announce last year, technically, that watches that are built on the legacy watch face format, so in other words, watches that aren't built on the new watch face format, will not be compatible with new devices that launch with Wear OS 5 or later. And what they announced last year, actually, is that developers won't be able to make new watch faces that use the legacy format. But what they suddenly, when Samsung released the Galaxy Watch 7 series, they quietly updated the documentation and said that new watches that launch with Wear OS 5 won't be compatible at all with those old watch faces. And that's a big change. So that is something worth pointing out to, users. If you have like a big collection of watch faces that you purchased through Facer and you're hoping to use them, unfortunately, you won't be able to use them unless the developer updates those watch faces to use the new watch face format.
All right. So buyer beware, I guess. Right. Or, or just get used to not having the watch face you like, or find a new favorite. Or
yeah, it's unfortunate, like a balance between customization, because there's a lot of cool things a lot of these old watch faces on Facer and Puji can do, and so many customization options. But at the same time, the more customization you do, the more complexity it adds, and the more battery it drains. And that's the kind of the thing that Google has been trying to reduce: battery drain.
Yep. All right. Cool.
Thank you.
All right.
Will.
Well, thank you for writing in. Everybody, let us know what you think and what your experiences have been. Contact at androidfaithful.com. We'd love to hear from you. And that's going to wrap it up for this epic pre-made by Google Eve show. Reminder, we will not be live streaming next week. We'll be releasing the podcast to YouTube and to the RSS feed. You can get it there. So stay tuned for that next week. But before we break up and go home this week, Jason, tell the folks what else you're working on.
It's time we break up. And
I'm
going home
up.
once we break up. You can find, you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/@techsploder, or you can go to my Patreon and support me directly. Patreon.com/Jason Howell. Lots of different tiers, give you ad-free content, early access, like my review of the CMF Watch Pro 2 was given early to patrons. You also get a t-shirt, sticker, merchandise, all that kind of stuff, and you're helping me out. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. That's patreon.com/Jason Howell.
Excellent. And Mishaal, where can people find you?
You can go to patreon.com/RashalRahman to subscribe to my Patreon and, join the Discord community that's attached to that Patreon. I post there really frequently, answer questions all the time about various things that I'm working on, about Android, about Pixel devices, about, anything that's on your mind. I also post a lot on Twitter /threads Mastodon, Reddit, etc. at Mishaal Rahman. You can follow me on most different platforms, and also you can find my work mostly on Android Authority these days, but also on AndroidFaithful.com whenever there's news to be posted. Mm-hmm. So go to all my socials if you want to see what kind of articles and things that I'm writing about. Of course, as I mentioned, there's a lot of Android 15 content still to come, and a lot of Pixel content because I'll be joining Ron, Wynn, and Jason at MBG next week.
Oh yeah, MBG. We get t-shirts made to say AF at MBG. Oh my God, we totally should do that now.
AF at MBG.
Oh my God. Anyway.
What you got, Ron?
Yeah, you can follow me on social media. I'm at RonXO across the board. Most active on Instagram, although I'm even less active there these days. But if you didn't already listen to Daily Tech News Show last week, tune in last Friday. I popped on with Tom and Sarah and talked about Friday's news bites, as well as talked a lot about MBG and the Pixel 9 line leak and stuff like that. It's always a blast to be on with Tom and Sarah, and we wore hats. So if you watch the YouTube, you can see our hats or listen to the podcast. And we thank Tom and Roger and Joe and Sarah and everybody in the Daily Tech News family for having Android Faithful as part of it. We love being on the team. So good times.
Right on.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for this week. I want to thank everybody for listening or watching. We publish this podcast every Tuesday evening. You can watch live at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on YouTube and on Twitch at Daily Tech News Show, as we previously mentioned, and Good Day Internet on Twitch. And make sure you go to patreon.com/AndroidFaithful, where you can help support us. Go to AndroidFaithful.com to find all of our stuff. You can support us there as well. We thank everybody who does that. You are the best. And like I mentioned, email us at contact@AndroidFaithful. Android Faithful's across social media. Go follow us if you're not following us. You don't want to miss a thing. And we had a great time, and we're going to have a great time at Google next week. We'll be back here live in 2 weeks. And until then, we are the Android Faithful. It's like a race to the finish line. Oh man, my voice is quitting. So
yeah, you're not feeling well, and I'm so.
No, the thing is, I feel energy-wise, I feel fine. I just am congested. So yeah.
Top title choice at Twitch at af.showbot.tv is "You Down with MBG? Yeah, you know me." The year of the tablet again. Like that. No more Mr. Nice dongle. Ooh, that's good.
That's all they had to do, the story of Google.
Chipolo, you had one job. Waze World, party on.
I do like Chromecast is dead, long live Chromecast.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That feels right.
Yeah, I feel like that we're going to have to editorially choose that one. So
we even have, that's even a clippable moment, when you played the little send-off for Chromecast.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
okay, I like that one. Good job, FD Wojo.
Now I have to see if I can get an AF at MBG shirt made in time. I wouldn't wear it. Mishaal, would you wear it? Jason, would you wear it?
If it had a cool design, maybe.
We'll make Win wear it.
If it was a good design. I think doing it the Tuesday, like 7 days ahead of time.
It's going to be challenging.
Yeah. Might not be worth the juice.
You can get everything within 24 hours now, right? Isn't that?
Yeah. You just have to pay for it. You pay for that rapidness.
Oh man. So,
yeah.
All right. Cool.
What did I play the music at the right time? I waited longer that time.
That was great. I just kept on talking until I heard the music.
Yeah. Totally. I know. Yeah, that's the thing. The outro, is rarely the same thing every single week. So
yeah, we should button that up when we.
It just is what it is.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It reminds me of how I used to write term papers in college. I used to, if there was like a page minimum, like you have to write at least a 5-page paper or 10-page paper, or whatever. I used to go in Microsoft Word and make the font 8-point, and then I would make the margin 0. So I was writing full page width in the smallest font I could, and I would just Jack Kerouac stream of conscious write until I couldn't write anymore, and then I would pop it into 12-point font, add 1-inch margins, and see how many pages I had. And if I was at the page minimum, I would literally start wrapping up mid-sentence.
So you were just, but the paper was about a thing, but you were just,
just talking, and then wrap up. Wow. It was the equivalent of playing the music.
All right. Did that work for you?
I mean, I graduated. I did all right.
I'm here, aren't I?
My GPA was north of 3.5. I'm
okay.
I'm no dummy.
That sounds like that worked.
I also increased the letter grade in all of my papers once I started going to Kinko's and printing a cover page and velo binding my papers. So I didn't change the contents. I'm the still same person writing the same papers. But the moment I started packaging them better, I went literally a letter. I went from getting B's and B minuses to A's and A minuses.
That's an interesting life lesson that you learned.
And you wonder why I work in marketing.
No kidding. No kidding. So true. That's funny.
All about presentation, my friends. So
all right. Well, everybody, I hate to wrap this, but I got up really early this morning.
Yeah,
and I got to post-produce this. So we are going to end it. I guess I'm making the determination that we're going to end it. But
yeah, that's fair. We will miss you next week, but stay tuned to our socials. Follow us along. We'll post updates in Discord and to social about when you can expect the episode and all that fun stuff. But hopefully it's worth it. So
yeah. We're really looking forward to it. So I think it's going to be an interesting day. But thanks for your support, everybody. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.
So long.
No rescheduled live show because we're going to be at the event and we aren't. Yeah, it's not going to work live. We're going to be doing stuff from there. And so it's going to be pre-recorded. So there won't be a live show. Yeah, that's the point. So.
And we'll see how quickly we can turn around the video and release it as a premiere. So if you want to watch live and chat with it, you can, like we did last time. But TBD on that because we don't know any of the logistics of anything we're doing next week.
Yeah. So. I mean, that's part of why we aren't doing a live thing is because there's still so much that we don't know. You know, we've been talking with Google about a lot of things and everything. We still don't have 100%. So we will have fun with that. Thank you, Killbot. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
See you in 2 weeks, everybody.
See you in 2 weeks.
Night.
Bye.